So when I go for commissioning, especially a new bottle, what always blows people's mind is that about 60% of the time we spend on CIP, which is always, people are not usually ready for this. You know, they're
more than
say,
half the time.
More than half of the time, yeah. So
because
let's
of product changeover, or why?
Everything. So let's say I'm setting up a new production line in here, right? So you're talking about receiving raw materials, receiving, mixing, batching. We spent more than half of the time commissioning CIP. I'm talking about commissioning time. Producing product is easy. It's usually pretty straightforward, right? Once you did all your IO test and everything, and then you're going to production, right? But CIP is where usually we spend most of the time, and I work a lot for dairy. So dairy is also, you know, you can't have milk in a vat for more than 8 hours, for example, right? So FDA has a very particular rule there that's called the PMO, Pasteurized Milk Ordinance, that you have HTSTs, which is high temperature, short time, so these pasteurizers and all that. So you have to be constantly cleaning. So you're always cleaning equipment. So funny enough, Zach, in one of these, a customer wanted to do, they had 2 CIP skids. They wanted to put a third one. We put a CIP report in there. What we found was that CIP skid 2 was being utilized at 100%, and then production was getting late because we were waiting for the CIP skid to be available, right? But what we found was that CIP skid number 1 was available at 40, was being utilized at 40%. So now, but by just doing a few mechanical changes on what we call the CIP routes, now we balance these two, and they didn't have to spend millions on another CIP skid. All they needed was data visibility to make a decision. And instead of buying another CIP skid, all they did was rerouting CIP, right? Cool one, OEE. This is a little different on food and beverage than usually when you're doing machine centers, right? Because these guys usually we want to visualize OEE by shift, right? Or by week or by PO. Most of the times it's by PO. These guys, the big guys, usually get a production order from Walmart, from Target, and they pass it down from ERP to the MES. They produce to order. So I want to know what's my efficiency on that PO, right? So this is why I think when it gets tricky when you try to put OEE into MQTT is that's the OEE now, but is that an average for the day? Is that an average for the shift? And I think these are the things that I like to specify when I'm building a dashboard. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys can stop me if I'm talking.
No, this is all good.
V-curve as well. So now I have the machine, what's it rated for, right? So what is the machine speed setting? So am I pushing all the machines to its max, to what was designed? Funny enough, we put this into a customer, and we see that every night the machines slow down, and right before the next shift starts, the machine speed goes up. We found is because one of the operators don't like to clear jams as much. So if he runs the machine slower, it's not gonna have as much jam, so he doesn't have to work as much. You know, not here to pat our tail on anybody, but it's just one of the things that say, hey, we need to have visibility on what's the machine speed has been running, and we need to set triggers of, you know, if it's not running up to speed, and therefore also
the better question to ask in that scenario is, is that a worthwhile trade-off? And you can't answer that question without the data.
And that's what I was just going to say too, because the data would also, if you have the right data, sometimes the operator is running it slower because it actually means it runs all day. So sometimes lowering the machine speed can actually increase the productivity over time.
Would you adjust the standard rate then for the OEE calculation?
Absolutely.
Typically that's going to depend on how they're calculating OEE though, and that's a whole rabbit hole of a topic.
Another podcast.
Yeah. But the speed setting, what it should be running for sure, we would lower that. You know what I mean?
Or run it at the maximum that's recommended.
Yeah, I mean, OEE, your OEE set point is going to have how many things are supposed to come off of that machine in a given duration, more so than an actual speed setting. So sometimes lowering the speed will increase the uptime and actually get you closer to that target count number as well. So when you have the rest of the data around, you can...
The rabbit hole you're talking about is that, you know, what I have in here is bottleneck, right? If that machine is a bottleneck, then you have a problem, right? Because now you're having to decrease for the whole line. But if that machine is not the bottleneck, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
If the machine is a bottleneck, I would want to do a top 3 reasons or top 5 reasons why that machine is stopping, and get together with maintenance and say, hey, let's tackle these big monsters. Let's see why is this machine stopping, and let's try to push it, right?
Yeah. The real rabbit hole I was talking about, that's a big one too, is if and how and why we're calculating OEE. Some places are going to calculate OEE to try to identify the bottlenecks and find more information so they can go drill down and do the root cause and go deeper. Other people are calculating OEE so they can have a fancy number to show people. And what set points you put into your OEE calculation and how valuable OEE is dependent on how and why you're using it.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's
Because
usually not
sometimes
right.
you have the true OEE and you have the OEE to please management.